Flagler is the. Going on, yes. Super busy. Yeah.
Hey, everybody. Can you give me a
Hey, what's up, brother?
We're gonna get started now. Folks are setting up behind. Come behind the podium. Behind the podium.
Or are you secretary? Let me get you.
I'll follow you.
No, we can have that, man. you get to go up. Okay, sure. I'll be part of it. Yeah, I will wait on Tuesday. Jump.
Counterintuitive, but for the photo op, we need the group behind the podium.
Hey, Barry.
Come back, everybody!
And back behind the podium, everybody, behind the podium.
Folks on this side, can y'all scoot in?
Hey, Joe, where you at? What you over there for?
If you're over here, can you scoot in that way? Yeah. Live on Twitter. All right. Press the see the button right there. All right. See this? See see like the photo? Yeah. Like that. See press the photo again. Press the camera. Go to no. Go to capture. Go right there. That's now you're live. Yep. No problem, man. Yeah.
What do we want? 1%! What do we want?
1%!
What do we want?
1%!
At least 1%.
All right, let's get started. Can anybody hear me?
No, it's the hand. Yeah. No. Into the hand.
There we go. Is this thing on? I've never used a megaphone before. This thing is on. We are on. Thank you, everybody from the Plain Bear Coalition for being here, demanding 1% for our city's parks. We are here to see just decades of disinvestment, decades with New Yorkers getting less for their parks, decades of city park workers getting less, and changing the course of parks history in New York City. We're looking for 1% of the city budget for parks. We're looking for the mayor to stay true to his commitments, for the council, the majority of whom has signed on to the campaign of 1% for parks, and this is the time. Unfortunately, the current preliminary budget cuts parks by $40 million. $40 million. At the same time, we've lost over 500 parks positions over the last year and 1,300 cleaning corps positions. We are not moving the needle. The mayor needs to know that. We have a lot of speakers here today, so I'm going to turn it over to our Plain Bear Coalition co-founders, the first of which is not Shaker Krishnan, but it's just as good as Shaker Krishnan. Young man, could you step forward? Is it you? There you go. Hey everybody, I am not Shaker Krishnan, but I am his chief of staff. My name is Chuck Park. Chair Krishnan couldn't be here today. He is stuck at home, sick, with a serious infection, and we really had to tie him to his bed to stop him from coming out today, because he is fired up to fight for our park. So let's send him some energy so he has a full recovery as soon as possible. What do we want?
1%!
What do we want?
1%!
What do we want?
1%!
1%. He did want me to send a few words on his behalf. 3 years after the COVID pandemic swept this city and country, we are finally coming to understand the life-saving, soul-nourishing power of our parks. Thanks to the Trust for Public Land, who I know is here today, we know about the incredible economic benefits from our parks. Thanks to Forest for All Coalition, we know about the hundreds of lives that can be saved by planting more trees. Thanks to our unions who are here. Are our unions here today? Yeah! Thanks to our parks workers, we know that parks create good, stable, dignified jobs that support New York City's working families. But we don't need numbers and statistics to show us the value of our parks. We see street ball at Rucker Park. We see soccer at Flushing Meadows. We see Tai Chi at Columbus Park. I can see my baby taking her first steps at a New York City playground. Teenagers sneaking in their first kiss on a New York City parks bench. We've all been there. A senior, after a lifetime fear of water, taking their first free swim lesson at a New York City pool. For free. That is what we're fighting for. Now last year, this coalition fought and won. This coalition fought and won. We held the first ever hearing on the tree canopy in the history of the City Council of New York. Woo! We made record investments in our parks and playgrounds, our pools, and in our parks workers. And we fought and we won the biggest budget for New York City parks in the history of this great city. That's a round of applause. And we need more. But this year, the mayor's preliminary budget threatens to walk us back. Boo! New York City is the greatest city in the world, but his budget is going to put us further behind other cities in this country. LA spends just about 3% on their parks. Chicago spends just over 4% on their parks. Minneapolis, just over 5%. And New York City spends less than 1%. Less than 1%. That is shameful. Shame. And the mayor's preliminary budget now wants to take our half a penny and shave it down even further. That is unacceptable. We have to stand up and fight back. So are we going to fight for our playgrounds and pools for our kids and our seniors? Yeah! Are we going to fight for 30% tree canopy by 2035? Yeah! Are we going to fight for stable, dignified, year-round jobs for all of our union park workers? Yeah! Are we going to fight for 1% for parks? Yeah! Yes, we are, and we will win. Now I just want to quickly acknowledge we have some great champions for parks here. Adam just spoke. We also have Councilmember Marte I want to recognize. We have Councilmember De La Rosa, who I think is here with us today. I'm going to pass this back to Adam, who's going to take over as MC. Thank you very much. Thank you so much. Next on the docket is Julie Tai from the New York League of Conservation Voters.
What do we want?
1%!
What do we want?
1%!
What do we want?
1%!
That's right. We are here for 1% for parks. I'm Julie Tai.
There we go. Good morning. My name is Julie Tai. I'm president of the New York League of Conservation Voters. We're so happy to be here today to call on Mayor Adams and the City Council to play fair for parks by dedicating 1% of the city budget for parks. We are not asking for that much. We are asking for what is fair. So we're really excited for all that Councilmember Shaker Krishnan has done for us, for Councilmember Marte, Councilmember De La Rosa, for the others who will be joining us later, who have been fighting for us to get more funding for parks. Right? We have been fighting together. Our partners in the Play Fair for Parks Coalition, especially at DC 37, New Yorkers for Parks, the hundreds of groups from every borough in our city. Our work and our dedication has been a catalyst for this movement, and we would not be having the groundswell of support we see here today without all of you. Because we're getting together to fight for what?
Yeah, I'll let you know.
100%. That's right. We've been making progress, and every year, because of our collective advocacy, there have been Playfair investments in parks for the last 4 years. That's more park workers. That's more PEP officers. That's more gardeners. But we keep having to fight to get them back every year. We know our parks are more important than ever. We heard about that in Chuck, about how important it was during the pandemic, but it's not just about that. We know that parks are critical environmental infrastructure. Trees in parks do more than make for beautiful scenery. They remove pollutants from the air, they improve air quality. They store carbon. They provide shade that cools our communities. Parks are green infrastructure that absorbs stormwater. They are critical infrastructure that help us fight climate change. With climate change making extreme weather events and extreme heat more frequent, investing in our parks is crucial to ensuring the resilience of our city and of New Yorkers. And what does that take? 1%! We know parks provide a space for exercise and recreation, and for too many New Yorkers, city parks are their only connection to nature. All of this is why funding the park system is also a matter of equity. All New Yorkers should be able to walk to a well-maintained city park regardless of their zip code. Despite all these benefits, as we've already heard, the Parks Department gets less than 1% of the total city budget. It is not acceptable that we are behind LA, that we are behind Chicago, right? That we are behind all these other cities. Who is the greatest city in the entire world?
New York!
And what do we want for parks?
1%!
That's right, we need that. Our budgets reflect our priorities, and parks are a good investment. We cannot afford to ignore the urgent need for better parks and, importantly, for equitable access. We need this for the health of our communities and the well-being of our city. So let's make our voices heard. Let's demand that the city dedicate how much?
1%!
How much?
1%!
Together, we're going to make sure all New Yorkers have access to clean air, to green space, and recreational opportunities we need, because we're going to get how much?
1%!
Thank you!
Thank you!
Thank you, Julie. Next up is our partners at DC 37, Dilsey Ben, Joel Pulio, and Daniel Clay.
Hi, my name is Dilsey Ben. I'm president. Hi, I'm Dilsey Ben. I'm president local 1505. I want to thank everybody. Thank you. I want to thank everybody that comes out to support us year after year after year. We wouldn't be able to do this without the Playfair Coalition. And every year we come back to fight for these lines over and over and over again. And they have been so successful in helping us. So my first order of business is to say thank you to them. And the second order of business is to make sure we get that 1%.
1%!
Thank you, Dilsey. Thank you, Adam. Thank you, Coalition. We've been fighting this for the last 20 years to get 1% for 28,000 acres of parkland. What will 1% give us? It would give us 100% of what we need. Every year we come here and we beg. We beg to keep what we have, and that's not enough. We have urban park rangers here who are subjected to be laid off. Where are they? Rangers? Okay, these rangers most recently put out 2 fires in the last day or so ago, right? They put out forest fires at Pelham Bay. You know, these are the people that were doing tours at the time. There's not enough rangers, there's not enough CPWs, there's not enough APSWs, there's not enough city seasonal aides. They're the ones who keep the parks safe and clean. And without them, it would be devastating. Garbage would pile up. Bathrooms would be unusable. Glass would be broken all over the playgrounds where our children play. Our seniors would be afraid to come in and enjoy the parks. Again, what do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. That's the problem. We've been here way too long. We need it now, right? Our kids need it. We need it. Our seniors need it. And the only way we're going to accomplish this is by having 1%. As you heard, all other municipalities, anywhere between 1 to 3%, right? And they're not even the size of us. New York City Parks is the largest landowner in the city of New York. Not only do we do parks, but we do beaches, we do recreation centers, right? We provide all these services at a skeleton crew. And it's not fair for the New Yorkers to be subjected to less than adequate services that they get everywhere else. We should be the frontier. We shouldn't be lagging behind. And again, this only gets accomplished through your efforts, right? The mayor promised us, right, during his campaign. And what are we getting? We're getting cuts. Could you believe that? And we do not have the federal funding that we had during COVID. We're losing thousands of people that were federally funded during the COVID pandemic. They are gone, right? So we're going to go right back to where we were, right? And again, what do we need? 1%. When do we want it? We want it now. We have to make our voices heard. We have to keep doing this till we get it. And again, without you, we could never do this. And I thank you all. Thank you.
Hey guys, it's Dan from the Gardeners, and I just wanted to say thanks. Just wanted to say thanks because there's so many people out there that woulda, shoulda, could have been here, showing their face today. But you guys are the ones that realize the importance. They realize the importance of showing up today. So very special thanks to everybody here, New Yorkers Parks and DC 37 as well, and everybody that wants what's best. So let's keep pushing for that 1%, and urge the mayor to do the right thing. Thank you, everybody.
Right there.
Let's hear it for DC. Let's hear it for DC 37. Smooth, green, and accessible. Next up is the dedicated council member Lincoln Ressler. Mr. Lincoln Ressler.
We're ready for anything. How we doing this morning, folks? So let's just give a big shout out to New Yorkers for the Parks, to DC 37, to the New York League of Conservation Voters, and the entire Play Fair Coalition. I have to say, so what do we want? 1%! When do we want it? Now! What do we want? 1%! When do we want it? Now! I have to say though, 1% sounds kind of puny. When I look at cities around the country, they're doing 2%. They're doing 3%. They are investing in their parks because we know how critical our parks are for our joy, for our climate future, for recreation. We all saw what happened during the pandemic. The only place we could go to get out of our apartments was our parks. And yet, our parks see cuts year after year.
Shame!
As DC 37 noted, we've been fighting for 1% for parks since I was a kid. And we still haven't gotten it. And now, Mayor Adams wants to cut nearly $50 million from our parks budget. We added 280 jobs to our parks department last year to improve conditions in our parks. Mayor Adams wants to eliminate each and every one of them.
No! Mistake.
It is wrong. What we need is to deepen our investment in our parks. We need to make sure that we have more trees planted, not just all over our parks, but all over our city. We need to invest in the climate infrastructure, in the green infrastructure, in the expanded park space that our communities need to realize the climate reductions, the green improvements so badly needed across our city. Green infrastructure. Let's hear it for green infrastructure. This is my kind of rally. But in all seriousness, I walk around my parks in District 33. I represent a portion of Brownstone, Brooklyn, and Northbrook, and I walk around our parks every day. And our workers are doing their absolute best. But the sad reality is that we don't have enough people taking care of our parks. The turfs are all ripped up. We have parks, large parks, that don't have a single gardener working in. The conditions are not what we deserve. The trash bags are piling up because we don't have enough staff. Our DC 37 workers do a tremendous job, but there's too few of them. We need to invest in our parks. We need to invest in our workforce to realize the communities that we deserve.
Open your eyes, Adams.
And I just have to say, we have an amazing chair of our Parks Committee in Shaker Krishna. Let's give Shaker a big round of applause. Team Chuck and Greg, they're all here. I can tell you this, if there is anything in Shaker's power that he could do to be here, he would. We're all rooting for him to get better quickly, but we're very fortunate in the City Council to have somebody that cares as deeply as he does, leading the charge for the investments that our parks deserve. So thank you to Shaker. This City Council has your back. Let's fight for 1%. Let's make it happen.
Thank you very much, Council Member. Next up is Council Member Chris Marte.
What do we want? 1%! What do we want? 1%! What do we want? 1%! What do we want?
1%! Every year, every single council member has to make tough decisions. We either have to choose to repair a ball field or a skate park. Yep. We have to choose to repair equipment for our seniors or a child's playground. Yep. We have to make a decision whether we want a chess table or a bench in our playground.
Right.
We don't have to make these choices. With 1%, the very least 1%, we can have it all. We can have enough workers. We can have enough chess tables. We can have enough people loving, enjoying, volunteering, and cleaning our parks. This administration always talks about upstream solution. Don't wait until it comes downstream. But what are some upstream solutions? I have one great answer. Money. Our New York City parks. If a child has a basketball court to play in, if we have a skate rink to skate in, if we have a place to do Tai Chi and meditate, we won't have to worry about downstream solutions.
Right on.
We wouldn't have to wait to spend millions of dollars in trying to fix something that we know we could have fixed years ago. And so, Mr. Mayor, when you talk about upstream solutions, I got an answer. We got an answer.
Yes.
It's called 1% for our parks. What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. Woo! Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right. Thank you, Council Member. Next up is Council Member Carmen De La Rosa.
Good morning. Good morning. Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Oh, there you go. Backwards. Can you hear me? Yeah. So I'm Councilmember Carmen De La Rosa. I'm representing Northern Manhattan. And I'm going to shout out some of my parks. Fort Tryon Park. High Bridge Park. Inwood Hill Park. J. Hood Wright Park. You see, my community has some of the largest green areas in the city of New York. We, unfortunately, do not have the resources to properly maintain those areas. And my community is an environmental justice community, a community that has to deal with the environmental repercussions of bad decisions like the Cross Bronx Expressway every single day. So for us, our parks are our playgrounds, they're our backyard, they are the places we go to breathe in fresh air, to make sure that we have sustainable infrastructure amidst a floodplain. They are the places that we want to see investments made every single day for our seniors, for our children, and everybody in between. We have 2 new public parks that are being visioned in Northern Manhattan right now. But what good is it to continue to neglect the maintenance of our parks in the way that we have. Each council member gets about $5 million in capital funds every year. We have to fund our libraries, we have to fund our schools, and we have to fund our parks. These are false choices for us to make when we could infuse resources into our parks by funding 1%. And honestly, I'm also the chair of the Labor Committee. Let's be real. This is an economic justice fight. Because these jobs are union jobs. And New York City is a union town. And so for our parks workers who dedicate their lives to making sure that our parks are taken care of and that they're safe, we owe them much, much more. So our call today is for the mayor to realize, as our colleagues have stated here today, that 1% is a down payment in an investment that will replicate itself with the workers and the people who use our parks. Northern Manhattan and all of the environmental justice communities across our city deserve 1%. And it feels silly to ask for 1% because we know we need more than that. But at 1%, at least we can stop this budget dance and go dance in our parks. So, Mr. Mayor, help us stop this kind of dancing. Let us enjoy Shakespeare in the park. And maybe some good old merengue in the park. And let us make sure we have the resources we need. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much to all the council members for being here today. We appreciate your support and your dedication to this campaign to 1% for parks. Next up, we have a special guest named Evangeline. Is she here? Come on over. Why don't you tell everybody where you're from?
Just to press the button.
Okay. I'm from Fort Greene, Brooklyn. What I just wanted to say is that this whole entire thing.
Turn it around. Turn it around, mama.
Flip it. Turn it around. Turn the mic up.
You got it. You got it.
There you go.
Yeah. There you go, girl.
So I'm from Fort Greene, Brooklyn. And I have been working on this project for a year now. I started last year in PS 46, and now currently I am in Fort Greene Preparatory Academy in 6th grade. I'm here to testify about Oracle Playgrounds, and I just believe that the City Council should invest in our future by providing 1% of the city budget to the NYC parks so that our parks and playgrounds can be a clean and safe place for kids to learn and play. Our schoolyard at my school is a really sad place to look at. Almost all of the equipment is broken. There's no sprinklers. The bathrooms, there's no bathrooms. It's a sad place to be at, and most people don't even go to the parks. And the kids that do, they don't have a good time there. This city council should really look into the school parks because this is a serious issue, and it's an issue that should really be put into topic. I want a better park for me and my friends, and I just want to have fun, and yeah.
We just want to have fun. We just want to have fun on parks. Well, thank you very much for being here, Evangeline. I know you've been on the case for a long time. Next up, we're going to hear from many coalition members and park stewards across the city. The first up is actually Carter Strickland, if he's here. Carter from Trust for Public Land. Go, Carter.
All right, hands free. How's everybody doing today? What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. the reason we need these things, you've heard how many things parks and nature does for us. The most important parts of our life. Parks really knit us together as a city. And we know the most important things can't be quantified in life. However, we've taken upon ourselves to look at some of the numbers that we can find out. And they're really impressive. If we're making cold, hard decisions today, parks need our investment and they deserve our investment. Yes. Listen to what nature does for us. First of all, we surveyed New Yorkers last year. Residents visit New York City parks in New York City, including federal, state, 527 million times per year. That's really impressive, and I'll tell you why. It is more than visit federal and state parks across our country combined. New Yorkers love our parks. What does that mean? When we're going to parks, they provide a ton of benefits. We quantified that parks are already producing over $9 billion in recreational visits. Think about it. You know, you go to the movies, you drop $17 at least. Parks are providing that kind of value. $9 billion in recreational value. Health, you go to parks to stay healthy, run. $1 billion in those upstream healthcare savings, keeping us healthy. They absorb water. That's over $2 billion in benefits that the city would otherwise have to spend to somehow figure out a way to treat the story. I could go on, but parks provide tons of benefits already. They need our investment, and we're not investing in them. New York City, we talked about the percentages. I want to give you another take on it. Per person, we calculate, per person, New York City spends a little over $200 per person for its parks. San Francisco is spending twice that, $424 per person. Places like Arlington, Virginia, is that a city? No, it's not a real city like we are. It's a fine place, I guess, for some people. But they're spending more per parks on their social infrastructure. Seattle, Minnesota, Washington, D.C., St. Paul, Portland, Oregon, Atlanta. These are cities that we should be beating. We should have better parks. We are short on amenities in our parks. We're short in upkeep. We need to invest in our parks, and the numbers show it. So, what do we want? 1%! When do we want it? Now! Thank you all.
Thank you, Carter. Next up is Sarah or Emily from the Natural Areas Facility.
All right, good morning, everybody. Good morning. Let me hear you if you love New York City parks. Let me hear you if you love nature in New York City. So, I'm with the Natural Areas Conservancy. We're here this morning standing with all of our colleagues and friends and everybody in New York who believes that our Parks Department deserves at least 1% for parks. I'm also here to just highlight that a third, over 10,000 acres of our city parkland is natural areas. And if you think the city isn't investing in parks overall, our natural areas receive 0.004% of our parks budget, of our city budget. And they support access to some of the most beautiful places in our entire city. And we know that half of New Yorkers only experience nature within our city park system. If we care about the environment, if we care about raising a generation of people who will fight for the future of our planet, we need to provide New Yorkers with access to these places. We need to invest in miles and miles of trails that solve park equity in places where some of our most incredible natural beauty exists that people can't get to today because there's no sign and there's no trail and there's no map. So we are here today, really energized, really excited. Let me hear it for 1% for parks. Thank you.
Thank you, Sarah. Thank you, Sarah. Next up is Emily Maxwell Noble.
Yeah.
There she is.
Hey, good morning, everybody. It's so good to be with you all. I, too, like our friends from DC 37, know this fight has been happening for more than 20 years. I will fight with you every day, but I hope next year it is a new fight. We need 1% for parks now. Why do we need it? Everybody here has said it. I will not tell you all the same things, but I want to appreciate the incredible leadership of New Yorkers for Parks, of New York League of Conservation Voters, of DC 37, of Council Members Shaker Krishnan and Chuck Park and Greg Clark, who are all here, as well as Council Members Marte, Bressler, and De La Rosa for showing up. Funding for parks is funding for racial justice. It is funding for social justice. It's funding for health. It's funding for climate resilience. Just yesterday, we know that climate change is still coming for us. We know that internationally we have a report that confirms we are on that path. Our parks help with heat mitigation. They help cool us on hot summer days. They help absorb stormwater. Here in New York City, we know that there will be more extreme heat days, 3 to 5 times by the 2050s. We know that there'll be 1.5 times the amount of precipitation as well. And we know that these issues affect us along racial lines. So we know that we need funding for parks and trees. Our Parks Department cares for more than half of the city's tree canopy, which is critical to cooling on hot summer days. So on behalf of the Nature Conservancy, I am so proud to stand with all of you to support 1% for parks.
Thank you, Emily. Next up is Victoria Toro.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Victoria Toro. I'm proudly Bronx born and raised. I'm a lifelong parks user, and I'm the community outreach coordinator with the Bronx River Alliance. Woo! The Bronx River Alliance serves as a coordinated voice for the river and works to protect, improve, and restore the Bronx River corridor so that it can be a healthy, ecological, educational, recreational, and economic resource for all of the communities through which the river flows. And in service of that mission, we help steward with the Parks Department the 8 miles of Bronx River Parkland in the Bronx from Wakefield all the way down to Soundview. I'd like to start off by thanking our New York City Parks workers for the essential day in and day out services that you provide for our green spaces. So much of your work goes underappreciated, so thank you all so much. I would also like to wish everyone a happy World Water Day. In case you all don't know, today we celebrate and raise awareness for the 2 billion people living without clean water across the globe. And we know that clean parks mean a cleaner river. Along the Bronx River, we are proudly opening 4 acres of new waterfront parkland in the South Bronx in the coming weeks. This will improve much needed and long awaited park and waterfront access for environmental justice communities. But the proposed budget cuts are devastating when we think about what that new parkland will actually need to be safe, clean, and healthy for our communities that have, been long overdue for that service. In the face of more frequent extreme weather, dangerous storms, and rising sea levels, we also know that we need to radically adapt to climate change, which means more investment in parks and green infrastructure, which provide these essential environmental services, not more cuts. We cannot afford to waste time or go backwards when low-income communities, especially like those in the Bronx, have been marginalized and excluded from equitable investment for far too long. Our parks already do not get the staffing or equipment necessary to serve our community's needs. We know that. And we cannot sit idly by while the disparity between the maintenance needs of our parks and the resources actually allocated to them keeps growing. Our communities already face environmental injustices, and now when our parks, forests, and wetlands are our first line of defense against a changing climate, we need more clean, safe, green spaces. So I ask that you join the Bronx River Alliance is a mandate, 1% for parks. What do we want? 1%! When do we want it?
Now! Next up is Tyler Kava.
2%.
Is this the right side? Okay, cool. Hi, everybody. Good morning. Woo! All right, it's finally spring, so I couldn't think of a better time to be here and talk about the value of New York City parks.
Yeah.
My name is Tyler Tava. I'm the Senior Manager for Climate Policy at the Waterfront Alliance. I'd like to thank all my wonderful colleagues and friends for being here today. There's so many important benefits for parks and green spaces, but for my speech here, I just want to focus my remarks on the value that 1% for parks brings to our waterfronts and coastlines. Did you know that half of the land managed by New York City, roughly half of the land managed by New York City Parks Department is directly on the water? The proximity to the shoreline makes these beautiful open spaces especially vulnerable to flooding, storm surges, and other consequences of extreme weather. At the same time, the recreational education opportunities from boating and fishing and learning about marine life are what make our waterfront parks truly magical. Waterfront Alliance is proud to stand in partnership with the Play Fair campaign to call for a 1% for parks. We've already heard this, but major cities across the nation dedicate 1, 2, 3% to their parks, and New York City's been stuck at less than 0.6% for decades. The co-benefits of parks are undeniable, from climate resilience to mental health and physical wellness. Parks investments pay dividends. 1 second. The waterfront facilities maintained by the Parks Department are 77 years old on average, which is way too long of a stretch for infrastructure that takes constant abuse from water and weather. Parks make up 14% of New York City's total land and almost 30% of its coastline. These spaces should be viewed as resources for successful climate adaptation, but that can't happen with the current levels of funding allocated to the agency. We urge New York City to give the Parks Department the funding they deserve. Funding for New York City parks is funding for climate resilience and adaptation. Thank you, everybody. What a great turnout. What do we want?
1%! Thank you, Tyler. We have just a few more, so stay positive, stay energized.
Yeah.
We have Emily from Open Plans. Is Emily from Open Plans here? Hi.
Good morning, everyone.
Good morning.
What do we want?
1%.
When do we want it?
Now.
Amazing. Thank you all so much for being here today. My name is Emily, and I do citywide advocacy at Open Plans. I especially want to thank New Yorkers for Parks for bringing everyone together and making this happen. At Open Plans, we want to make sure that every New Yorker has access to safe and enjoyable public spaces in all neighborhoods. Everyone deserves to have equitable access to parks and open spaces, but this can't be done without the proper funding. New York City must allocate 1% of our budget to parks. What do we want?
1%!
Park maintenance is extremely important in ensuring that our parks are clean, safe, and accessible for all. There are so many wonderful volunteer groups and maintenance groups that already do some of this work, but they can't do it alone, and neither can our parkies. Astoria Park, my personal favorite, is so special to me. And I'm so incredibly thankful to all the wonderful people who make it the amazing space that it is. We believe that public spaces are the heart and soul of the city. It's where people can come together and build communities. We need this 1% now. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Next up is Leslie Vasquez from the South Bronx Unite. Leslie, there she is.
Good morning, everybody! My name is Leslie Vasquez, and I work with South Bronx Unite. In the South Bronx, our communities are toxified by 3 major highways, 4 power peak plants. We have all of the Bronx's waste management directed to our area. Our communities are extremely toxified and are the most vulnerable in New York City. We have one of the highest asthma rates in the whole country. South Bronx Unite has made a waterfront plan to instill green spaces in our area.
and it has been prioritized by the DEC for years, and we still have no green space in the South Bronx. Repeat after me. Green spaces, parks for clean air. Parks for clean air. Parks for green jobs. Parks for green jobs. Parks for reduced flooding. Parks for reduced flooding. Parks for our community. Parks for our community. We need green spaces for our communities who are the most vulnerable, who are experiencing the brunt of environmental injustice. What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. Thank you.
Please come back every time. Next up is Kay Webster. Hi, Kay.
All right. I want to thank Adam Dancer, New Yorkers for Park Playfair Coalition, and to Councilmember Chair Krishnan. I want to start by saying that Sarah Roosevelt Park has felt a badly renewed sense of hope with the leadership of Manhattan Commissioner Perez, who has come in with dedication, eagerness to solve problems, and a patient and listening ear.
I don't think that thing is on the pen. I should just yell.
Anyway, so we're grateful to Commissioner Perez and his park workers. But I'm here to testify about the impacts of a future without dedicated and long-promised funding for parks like mine, which is an environmental justice area 10 or 15 minutes walk from here. Parks will continue to be in our, we have been promised long promised funding for parks like mine. Parks that continue to be in urgent need of help. Parks that have lived the reality of a New York City park system that has been operating with an austerity budget for 40 plus years. Funding that isn't baked into our city's DNA sabotages the present and undermines the future. Climate disasters won't wait. Decades of inequality can't wait. Retaining park staff that is able to care about parks because we made it clear that we care about them and their families can't wait. And a city that doesn't rely on a zip code to ensure a decent life shouldn't wait. Parks are not an amenity. They're the lifeblood of our city, our collective backyards, our democratic meeting spaces, our city's lungs, and most children's only experience of nature's complexity and beauty. Now more than ever, we need a New York City park system that bristles with joy, life, and purpose, parks that serve as an oasis of respite in this city. And honestly and personally, my park can't afford another year like we've had. Thank you. Somebody else do that loud cheering.
We can't wait. We can't wait. What do we want?
We can't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait. We can't wait.
Next up is Skip Bloomberg, and I'd like to point out that we're sitting in Skip Bloomberg's home park. Thank you, Skip, for hosting us.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam, for gathering us here and for the very impressive 1% for Parks impact report, which has every fact that you can imagine why we need parks. I'm Skip Bloomberg. Bloomberg was the mayor from Friends of City Hall Park. And it's appropriate that we're here in this park, not only because the mayor and the city council can hear us, but because this park has been the city common since the 1600s, where townspeople and farmers would gather to discuss the issues of the day and make decisions. This was a little village. This was the village commons. Now it's the city commons. It's a city of villages. We're here now because we care about parks, like Commissioner Henry Stern used to say. We're here for nature and for play. We're the stewards of our parks, and we need our parks. We're in the richest city, in the richest country on this planet. We should be able to afford great parks, good police department, education, everything. We should be able to have it. We want it all. Now this park, this neighborhood is one of the fastest growing neighborhoods in New York City and one of the densest and one of the least number of green spaces. We've been working for Better Parks for 20 years now. And like all your parks, at the beginning of this administration, this park was in deplorable condition due to the neglect because of the low budget and also because of Mayor Giuliani's botched up 1999 $38 million renovation of this park, where it's like falling apart already. There's 21 broken lights, the pavements are crumbling, there's no working water fountains. This is our precious neighborhood park, and also all New Yorkers' city commons. So we had a State of the Park report in 2022 where we had about 70 different items. And we went on October 20th with Councilmember Marte's help and a potential alienation lawsuit against the city. We met with Mayor Adams on October 20th. And actually, we were like really impressed. The guy is an incredible leader. He's got terrific qualities, and he really exhibited his interest in helping the parks. I mean, he the next day after our meeting with him, he called me on my cell phone to tell me that he was already working on some of our items. Mayor Adams called me and said, "Hi, it's Eric Adams. We're getting you a gardener." So we got a gardener for the first time in 2 years, and he started fixing, the park up. So there's hope. The point is, there's hope. He promised to fulfill the campaign promise to give 1%. So we're here to force him to do it. We represent millions of New York voters who care about parks. And we want Mayor Adams to fulfill his promise and give us the parks that we really want. So thank you very much.
Remember the Bronx!
Remember the Bronx. Last up is Maria Garrett. Is Maria here? There she is. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Maria from Canarsie, Brooklyn, and I'm here representing BPOP. It's a park coalition that we started a few years ago to help New Yorkers for parks to get the 1%. Now, I'm here to talk because last summer I was at my park in Canarsie, and one of the park members came up to me. I don't know how she knew who I was, but anyway, she says, "We know that you're an advocate in this community, and what we need is better equipment. Their equipment in Canarsie is falling apart. They said that their vehicles don't have adequate AC. So last summer, they rode around vacant, and I think that is unfortunate for a city in New York City to have certain areas with inadequate vehicles. So I'm here for that 1%. What do we want? 1%. When do we want it? Now. Let's go. Let's get it.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Yeah, I want to thank the Playfair Coalition. What do we want? 1%. Let's all turn around and face City Hall and say to them, what do we want? 1%. What do we want?